Welcome back to the Fourten Podcast. This is an exciting day. We're fresh off a weekend, bunch of matches, exciting matches. Hey, but we're here. We're here to talk about it. And if you're new to this show, this is just a podcast that we're going to be talking about all things DMV soccer, so cups, leagues, everything. My name is Gio. I'm your host, and with me is Noah. How you doing, Noah?
Gio, thanks for having me. Super excited. We had our first week. I'm ready to get into the cup results and talk about what's coming next.
Perfect. And also, Alfred the man. Sometimes not impressed, by the way.
Hello,
How
people.
You doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm really excited to talk about the leagues, the cups, and everything. Really excited about it.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. If you missed it this weekend, I don't know where you were hiding, but it was a lot of action going on Sunday. Morton Cup kicked off, MDV Cup kicked off. But before we dive into it, I do ask you, if you are not subscribed, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, we really appreciate you. Yep, DMV Sports Media, the channel. You're here. This is the best place to be. Look at Noah. Let's get right into it. The MDV Cup. It was a lot of games. 2 games, by the way, were postponed. Noah, can you remind us what 2 games were postponed?
It was Alexandria United against World Class Premier and Esperion and North Stars Berryville. It sounds like we're going to end up playing those games after the group stage when some of the teams are playing in the National Amateur Cup qualifiers. It does work out. None of those teams are entering the Amateur Cup qualifiers, so it sounds like there'll be a few weeks to get those games in on Sundays.
There you go. See, the man with all the information. So besides that, we still had 6 games, and we're going to talk about every single one of those games, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Morton Cup, and then we'll move on to this weekend because both of those tournaments are back in action, actually, the day after you hear this. So let's start with Steel Pulse versus Kickers. That was the first game of the weekend. Let's start with Noah. Noah, what was your reaction to this game?
So the game was one that I expected Steel Pulse to come away with the result. I think we all picked Steel Pulse, just because of their pedigree over the last several seasons, their dominance. But it wasn't a sure result from the whistle. It was, first off, Steel Pulse only, I think, had 11 players at kickoff, so that was reason for pause. Baltimore Kickers, to their credit, created chances right off the bat, and it looked a moment like, are we going to see our first Steel Pulse? They did find their bench players. They had their reserves, and then they found goals early, and then by halftime it was 3-0. They were firmly in control, knocking the ball around, and they looked the better side. So Steel Pulse, despite a bit of a slow start, they looked like the Steel Pulse that we come to expect.
Alfred, do you think Steel Pulse is going to keep this, or did you see something from Baltimore Kickers?
Well, I think, Steel Pulse, that's always been their problems. Last season as well in the Summer Cup, they lost to Aegean Hawks. And that one of the reasons was because they didn't have enough players on the bench. They didn't have reserves, and the Aegean Hawks had plenty of No, was that right? They lost to Aegean Hawks, didn't they? Or was
lost to it. They went up. I think they were up by 2 goals at one point, but they only had 11 players. They had no players on the bench. And at the tail end of the game, they just completely sank out and ended up losing 5-3, I think, from being up 3-1 or 3-2 at some point. So,
yeah, you could blame the travels at that time. You could blame, but it's always been a problem with them. It's sort of like a team that's the difference between Steel Pulse and Virginia Dream, in my honest opinion. The organization level, Steel Pulse, the players, they sort of like, oh, we're just going to show up and play. We're good anyways. We're going to win. Most of the time it's going to work out because there's a gap in quality between them and other teams, but it really doesn't always work out, especially against good team. Yesterday might have worked out for them, but, if it's not something that you can continue doing. So, yeah, big win in the opening match day, but if you play against tougher teams that are more organized, that have more players and probably have almost the same quality, are you going to survive? That's the question. So, yeah, congrats to them. They won 3-0, but it has to be better than what Noah said.
I 100% agree, and it's interesting because seeing a 3-0 result against Baltimore Kickers, like, that's not I feel like Steel Pulse should be a lot further than that, but that just means teams are catching up, so that those disorganizations is gonna hinder them, because some of these teams in this tournament are actually really, really good.
Really good, yes, definitely.
Yeah, two of which we're going to talk about right now, which is Patuxent versus Ristosi. Alfred, let's start with you, just since you just kind of wrapped up. What was your reaction from this game?
Well, just like I said the last time, I wasn't too familiar with Patuxent's the way they play. I've never seen them play before, but I've seen Ristosi. Was there a time when they actually won the MSSL? They won it a couple of seasons ago, didn't they, Noah?
So they've never won the playoff cup. They have won the regulars. They did win the regular season.
Regular. They beat and I think at one point they beat Steel Pulse, didn't they?
They beat Steel Pulse in the last MDV Cup. They actually won the last MDV Cup. So they are the returning champions. They beat Steel Pulse, they beat Nova, and they beat Christos in back-to-back triple games. So that's to run the gauntlet like that is impressive, So
that's a gauntlet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I used sort of like their reputation to sort of predict the match. And yeah, they did end up winning. And it was by a huge scoreline as well. Was it 5-1? It was 5-1. Yeah. So, yeah, congratulations to Ristosi. Probably one of the teams of the week.
Yeah.
Noah, anything to add to that game?
No, that's spot on. I think we were all waiting to see, Ristosi, they didn't compete in the fall, so we know their quality at their best. We know what they're capable of, obviously, the returning champions, but we were kind of apprehensive to pick them just because, taking that fall season off, but they were very good. I mean, 5-1 suited them. There was even, a few that they could have finished off. They're a team that comes prepared. They're well coached, well organized, and they're really gonna be the foil to Steel Pulse this weekend. We'll talk about that match, but that's gonna be a match that Steel Pulse cannot show up with 11 players not warmed up, ready to go. Ristosi can easily make them pay, but I do think Steel Pulse knows that. I think that we're gonna see a different approach from Steel Pulse to that game because they remember last season. They know what Ristosi's capable of. They're seeing 5-1 on the scoreboard, and there's going to be a message to the players in that camp. I think we got to go. It's time to play.
Yeah, for sure. I think Ristosi is such a class organization, and the fact that they're going to MPSL this coming season, is going to be interesting. I'm sure they're going to be trying to use this tournament to really bring the best out of their team. So I'm looking forward to this weekend's match. But we'll dive into that here in a little bit. Let's continue with recapping the MDV Cup. The next matchup was Team United versus Das Bierhall. Noah, this was a lot closer game, right? The scoreline ended up being 1-0. What was your takeaway from it?
So this was not a match that I actually got to see firsthand. I was on the adjacent field broadcasting, but from my understanding and from what I saw, Team United did have a really strong roster out there. It was by no means a surefire result for Das Bierhall. So I think that both those teams are, if not able to beat Christos, they're going to make sure that Christos shows up each and every week with their best, and comes prepared, which that's all you can ask for is keep everyone honest. And who knows, we may see one of them sneak an upset. I think if I were to pick, it would be Das Bierhall going through, obviously just given the fact that they've already pulled the results. They've already got the 3 points, but we're going to see.
Alfred, Das Bierhall won the regular season this past MSSL season in the regular season, not the playoff. They're just continuing to keep form, right?
Yeah, they actually do. This was actually a game I got the prediction horribly wrong because I think I predicted a 4-0 win for Das Bierhall and I said I saw Team United in the last season. They weren't as impressive, so I guess it's changed now, and it was a much closer game than I thought it was. So kudos to Team United. I apologize for the horrible prediction, and hopefully they continue their impressive form. Although they still did lose the match, but it was much tighter than I thought it was going to be.
Hey, all that matters is 3 points, though. At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yeah. And they didn't get it, did they? No.
In all fairness, it was a really disappointing fall campaign for Team United, and so I don't think you were off base by your score prediction. They had players with lots of different commitments, but from what I saw, those players are ready to play and they're committed for this cup. So I do think that their ceiling is a little bit higher, and we're going to see what they're capable of.
Yeah. So the next game we had Bally's Athletics versus Christos FC. I think this one was very up in the air as far as going into it because we were expecting Christos to be really a dominant power in the area, which they have been, and they ended up being because they ended up winning a 3-1 victory. But let's start with Alfred. Alfred, this game.
Yeah. Before actually the match played, if you watch the Premier League, there are teams like Norwich, there's teams like Cardiff that always make it to the Premier League, but they are never able to stay up. They always relegate. So they're sort of like so good for the championship, they can't be in the championship. But then again, they're not good enough for the Premier League. So that was the category I was placing Bowleys in. But it seems like I was very wrong. I think because I predicted 6-1 for Christos to win, and apparently it was a tight match as well. Christos did end up winning 3-1, but it was much more tighter. And there was a point actually, according to Noah, where they equalized. It was 1-1, and yeah, it was a tight match. So I'm really happy for Bowleys, and really happy to see what they're going to do in the upcoming MSSL season as well, the first division.
What did you think about the match, Noah?
So, I mean, I think obviously any loss is going to sting, and it's going to sting for the Bowleys players, but from our perspective, we know what Christos has done to teams in these cups. Sometimes, I mean, I've seen double-digit scores, and everyone thinks they want to play Christos. Everyone thinks they're ready to play Christos, and you may have a solid team in your local league. It's different level. It's different level. And to me, from what I saw, obviously I didn't see the match. I didn't see the full match. Christos looked to be business as usual. I think we are going to see them a strong contender to win any of the cups that they compete in. But Bowleys, man, they are a team that is Division 1 ready. They're 100% up for the challenge. I have it on good information that some of our clips from our podcast were posted in the team chat. So, we did add some inspiration, Alfred. Some of your quotes are going to be pinned up on the Michael Jordan clipboard as motivation. But no, they're a team that, they thrive on that. It's so tough to come from Division 2 level to play against Christos, and they did that. So I'm excited to see what they can. And, I think that match against Beer Hall, when it comes, that's going to be the match that might determine who sneaks in with that second spot behind Christos.
Yeah, I mean, Christos is definitely impressive. I will say there's a player I'm very familiar with because he plays for DMV Gunners in the indoor world, so I'm very familiar with him. And I've seen him on the outdoor world, which is Dixian. I think that's how you pronounce it. I might be butchering it.
Eddie Moreira? Yeah.
He's such a good player. Oh, my goodness. He got one goal, obviously, but, I mean, he's definitely going to be a player to look out for because he's so good. Personally, I like him.
Yeah, he's a new addition for Christos. He's bounced around.
Young guy.
I think he played 41-88 before when they were in MSSL. I've seen him play with Alexandria Reds down in the UPSL and NPSL, so good to see he's found a home with Christos. And, yeah, you're right. Class player.
Yeah. Very, very good player. And Christos is a class organization. But shout out to Bowleys because they did it. While this is a loss, it was a good loss.
Yeah,
if that's
it was. It really was. Yeah, I'm very impressed with them.
Yeah. On the other side, though, this is an impressive loss. One we didn't think was going to be one, and that's Team Oranje or Oranje FC versus Los Toros, which ended up being a 6-1 win for Los Toros, which is an impressive win because this is one of the games we thought was going to be a lot closer, so much closer, that I don't think anyone had a prediction that it was this far apart. But Noah, let's start with you. What was your takeaway from this match?
Yeah, this was the one that I got horrendously wrong. And part of me always had, in the last few times when Los Toros and Oranje play, a lot of people in the area have picked Los Toros. They're, I think, the more well-known of the teams. They have, the deeper roster, the pedigree, et cetera, et cetera. And it was tempting to pick them again this time. But I've seen now 2 wins for Oranje. And so that convinced me to pick Oranje, but it just wasn't so for them. One, I don't think they were missing a few pieces defensively, and their normal goalkeeper wasn't there. Not to say that, Los Toros wouldn't be picking up the win anyways, but it surely showed, especially on a few of the early goals. There was miscommunication between goalkeeper and defenders in the back, and you find yourself down, 3-1 very early in the game. I do think Oranje are going to continue as a strong contender. I pity the team that has to play them next because now their back's against the wall. They do have some strong players, but yeah, really poor outing for Oranje, but Los Toros, absolutely going to be one of our teams to watch as far as potential picks for the tournament.
Alfred.
Yeah, I spoke of organization the last time. I think the project that Los Toros have going is a very impressive one. Forget about the game. Even after the match was over, I saw this is like something like they were gathered there. The coach was speaking. Everybody was like they united. It took them like 5-10 minutes there just speaking about the game. That's organization. That's a real team right there. But yeah, they dominated the game. Whenever Team Oranje had possession, they didn't have the momentum to go forward. Their strikers were isolated. And then you have Jacobus Faha, who I really feel like this is his team. Like, it feels like Los Toros just fits him. It's the sort of team he wants, with the way he was playing, especially. I didn't watch too much of the first half, but the second half, with the way he was playing, it looks like this is the perfect fit for him. And they have players like Jack Stone, Freddie Javel, Aidan Mahoney, all of them so good. That gap between them and Virginia Dream, I think that gap is closing. It really is. And if they continue in this sort of way, they're going to be, just like Noah said, they are a team to watch out for, Los Toros.
It should be mentioned that they did win the APL league or APL this past season. So I mean, it got something going over there.
They really do.
Cooking up. Yeah,
absolutely. Alfred, now you're going to be in the Virginia Dream chat. You're going to be posted everywhere as motivation.
No. But I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of Virginia Dream. I love them as well because I love teams that are organized, teams that have the potential to blow up. It's just that's what I'm seeing as well with Los Toros. The players, the amount of people they have show up every game, how clean and nice their kits are, how they perform on the pitch, all of that comes into account. And forget about, they're good. They have good players. They have quality players that scores goals. But what happens off the pitch with the players, the sort of chemistry that these players have, the organization, they have it. I can see it. They have it. They have good players as well. Yeah, that gap is closing. It's definitely closing. And Noah, if you watch the VSSL final as well, of course, Virginia Dream scored 3 goals and won 3-1. But the chances that they had, Los Toros, if they scored, it would have been a different result. Bill Hamid was very influential in that game.
That is an understatement. I mean, Bill Hamid, just his presence, I think, influenced a lot of those near misses. Early on, there was a couple of goals. If those go in, it's a completely different match. You're totally right. And on the offensive side of the ball, for how Los Toros lined up in that game, when I saw it was Jakob Esfaha, Jack Stone, Hamer Diaz, with Freddie Javel in the middle, creating to serve to those three. And they're a team that's so dangerous vertically. If you go down a goal to Los Toros and have to stretch up the field, have to expose yourself, I mean, you're in for a long day. I think
Definitely.
The key to playing against Los Toros, is going to be, I mean, it goes without saying you don't want to concede first, but even more so against them, because once you stretch yourself out, they're a team that is so dangerous vertically, you're just not going to be able to contain them. So work the wise, anyone tuning in.
Yeah, definitely.
Diaz is such a good player, man. Man, just watching him that game was...
Really is, isn't he?
Yeah, he's so deadly, so deadly. But you know what? It's not bad that we are motivational clips, right? Like, do it. Clip us up. Yeah. Just share it on the chat.
As long as they're watching and subscribed, I can definitely disagree with that.
And please do let us know, because that makes us laugh or pick on the person who is being used.
Yeah, I love to be proven wrong. Prove us wrong. We're here to make our predictions, and you're here to prove us wrong.
Yeah, 100%. And back to your point, Alfred, the stuff they do on the field, I think that really drives the difference between like the big teams and the teams that aren't just there yet. Because Rastosi, Christos, and these teams that we talk about are just performing. They treat the organizations as professionals, right?
Yeah.
And that's what drives them to really perform. And people don't understand those 10 minutes before the game, after the game, that really builds a team chemistry and the unity behind a team. So if you're not doing it, you need to do it.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, let's talk about the last game. The one I was talked out of. Aegean Hawks versus Yings United. It ended up being a 3-3 tie, which is great scoreline. Great scoreline. Alfred, what do we think about this game?
It's the only tie in the whole fiction. It's the only tie actually in the whole Morton and MDV Cups as well. I actually had Aegean Hawks winning by 3-1, I think, in my prediction for the last time. But I think Yings United probably had. I didn't watch the game, but I think they had players show up and they have the quality enough. I didn't have them winning because when I saw them play against World Class Premier, it wasn't. They were sort of holding on in that game. World Class Premier created so many chances. They were sort of holding on, and if you play like that against the Aegean Hawks, trying to hold on, play on the counter, and then score and defend, it's not going to work because the Aegean Hawks are a very offensive-minded team and they create so many chances. But I guess they turned up and they actually offered threat and they were able to tie. Kudos to them as well.
3-3 is a very interesting scoreline. I'm guessing they didn't go out the night before.
Okay, let's agree on that.
Yeah,
They just both went out together. It's like, let's just both go out and we'll start on the same foot tomorrow. Noah, anything you want to add about this game?
No. If both teams have their full capacity, it's not really a surprising scoreline to me. From what I understand, Tayshaun Johnson had a huge game, both in creating and scoring a brace for Aegean Hawks. So shout out to him. But I'm excited to see those are the two teams that I kind of have pegged as my favorites for that group to advance. So now they each have a point. There's no advantage between. It's going to come down to the final two matches, obviously.
Actually, that's a great point. I don't know if I want to run through the standings because 4 teams haven't played. Maybe we'll revisit that on week 2. Yeah, let's do that. Let's revisit on week 2.
Okay.
I'll just mention the bracket leaders. In Group A, the Morton Cup is Restosi. In Group B, you have Cristos. In the Potomac A, you have Los Toros, and in Potomac B, you have the split between Aegean Hawks and Yings United. So those are your leaders as of now, but we'll definitely dive into this post this weekend. We'll dive more into the standings because this weekend is going to really determine some of these teams, who's advancing, who's not. Some big games on the line. But before we dive into that, let's talk about the Morton Cup.
Yes.
The game we highlighted was Salon Athletics versus Baltimore City.
Yeah.
Let's start with what this game, did it disappoint? Did it meet the everything we said it was going to be?
Absolutely. I mean, this was one, sadly, tragically, was not on the channel, so there isn't video from it. But from what I understand, it was a battle. I mean, it was a 1-goal game throughout pretty much the duration.
Yeah.
There was chances created for both sides. Great sequences of play. Defensive clearances off the line. But in the end, Slancha found the goal. Baltimore City had to press up at the end of the game, and Slancha was able to find a second in trash time. But two great clubs, two young clubs that are building not only on the field, but they're building a culture, they're building an ethos kind of off the field. So I know, kudos to both clubs. Great work to Arlie Hitt and his squad. And I just want to highlight one player, BP Siebert, a new addition for Slancha. From what I understand, he was instrumental in Slancha capturing that win. So great to highlight those individual performances.
Alfred, you had Baltimore City doing some wonders here.
Yeah, because I've watched both teams play. Baltimore City, their attack is fierce. It really is fierce. So I wasn't quite sure about Slancha. I've watched them a couple of times. Very good. They created a lot of chances as well. But Baltimore City just have that attacking force. So I don't know what happened. But maybe at the end, if anything showed, was that the MSSL league is so much of a classier league. Because I think maybe, Slancha came in with that sort of MSSL strength and won. But Noah said it was a close game. It was 1-0 throughout, and then they scored. And
Great.
Yeah. So I'm happy for Slancha, of course. I've been a fan of Baltimore City because I like their project. I like how they operate their social media page as well. It's so unique. Same for Slancha as well. But yeah, congratulations to Slancha.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this was going to be it was a close game, right? It was a 1-1. For some reason, the scoreline, I look at it and it just doesn't feel right because of what you hear, right? Like what you hear of the game and the clips you might have saw, like you hear different things. But yeah, congratulations, Slancha. Noah, do you want to run us through? We're not going to talk more about other Morton Cup games because there was 8 of them, and they did all play because they were early in the day. We weren't able to watch them all, so I feel like we would do them an injustice to talk about them. Noah, could you run us through the rest of the scores?
Sure. So we had Silver Spring United was 4-2 victorious over DMB Stars. Ittihad earned a whopping 6-1 victory over Banfield. Lions had a convincing 4-1 victory over Daywalkers FC. Arundel County FC was victorious 3-1 over Moco 1776. Then Cheverly FC was victorious 5-1 over Blazers. To me, that was one that stood out. Cheverly may be a team to watch in this competition. Obviously, Slancha victorious over Baltimore City by a score of 2-0. There was a shootout match in Liners Street Footy. Starliners 4-3 victorious in that one. And that wraps up. Oh, and there was a forfeit victory. A3 Highlanders over Blessed. I guess Blessed had some issues getting to the field. That is a Virginia-based team, so that's going to be something to watch out for, if they'll struggle or if they'll bounce back. But A3 Highlanders will get their first taste of action next week.
Yeah,
it should be mentioned. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it's a good thing you said that, because I've been watching this scoreline, this 3-0. I don't think Bless should be losing 3-0 to Highlanders. I've been very confused by it. I don't. So now that I know it was a forfeit, yeah, it makes much more sense now.
I mean, I'm not so familiar. I don't know. Are they a team to watch out for?
Bless are a very good team. They are a good team. Yeah, they score a lot. They concede a lot, but they do score a lot of goals as well. They never play a game without scoring. They can give you 4 goals. They'll score 6. Yeah, so I was very surprised.
So the zero score lines will really raise the flag for you.
Yes.
It's not that they got scored on; it's that they didn't score.
Yeah, if you go through the fixture list, they're always conceding 3, 4, but they're always scoring 6, 7. So that's yeah. So yeah,
that's too funny. That's too funny.
Yeah, I think one of the last games, I think they were losing 3, and then they ended up winning. I think 5-3 or something.
It's always impressive when you can score more than you get scored on. So.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll hope to see no more forfeits, because I mean, in both of these cups, all the games are being housed in Maryland. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Some of the games are being housed in Maryland for the MDV Cup. Some of them are Virginia, but Morton Cup are all in Maryland. So home advantage, some would say. Yeah. Let's talk about. I wanna kind of talk about this round a little bit more as a holistic approach and ask you both, if you were to pick one team, you could do a MDV team or you can do a Morton Cups team. What team impressed you the most? Actually, Noah and Alfred, let's do it from teams that streamed with us, because we actually got to watch them and analyze them more than once, whether it was live and then rewatching it. We got to really drill deep into their performances. So let's talk about the games that we had here on the channel. And we should, Noah, can you remind the fans and those listening what games were streamed on the channel?
Sure, we had 3 matches that streamed this weekend. It was Steel Pulse, Baltimore Kickers, the Patuxent FA against Ristosi match, and we also had Los Toros and Oranje. So those were the 3 matches that were live this week.
So let's do, of those 3, what team impressed you the most, and then we could do one that's just holistically from this week. Let's start with Alfred. Alfred, what DMV sports media team impressed you the most?
Obviously, for me, it has to be Los Toros. They were so dominant against such a good opposition as well. Yeah, we have to consider that it's against Oranje, it's not against any other team. And scoring 6 against them and only conceding 1 should make up for something. It's big. And then you had Jakob Asfaha scoring a hat-trick, and they created so many chances. It could have been more, actually. Yeah, so, yeah, for me, it has to be Los Toros.
All right, let's go over to you, Noah.
I'm actually going to pick Ristosi, because there were all those question marks, a team that, maybe we didn't give the fair look because they were the incumbent champions, but the fact that they didn't play in the fall raised some question marks. To me, all those question marks were erased, and they are going to go as one of my tournament favorites now. I'm picking them as one that could go all the way.
We keep mentioning all these teams. I just realized Nova is not in this tournament.
No, they were. They ended up having to drop because of their MASL schedule. It just wasn't feasible.
Blame indoor.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a holistic one now, right? From outside of just the ones we streamed on the channel, do you have a team that impressed you the most?
Well, I mean, from looking at the scoreline, it seems like Etihad FC had such a good day, didn't they? Won against Banfield 6-1. Obviously, we don't know the quality of how Banfield was, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go for Etihad 6, Banfield 1. So Etihad for me, team of the week. I mean, they impressed me, but if we're saying team of the week, Los Toros, but looking at which one I'm more impressed with, Etihad FC.
If I'm not mistaken, they're based in Howard County. They had a really good season in the Maryland Majors, and they are coming back to the Maryland Super Soccer League. Right?
Yes, they played in. They played this past fall in the Division 2.
There you go.
They just missed out on the playoffs.
Yes, okay.
So it is a really good squad. I've seen them play numerous of times. I've definitely impressed. Noah, how about you? Any team impress you outside of the ones we streamed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to choose one from MDV Cup, and I'm going to choose one from Morton.
Okay.
Although it was a losing effort, I was really impressed with Bullies. They're the only team that came from a Division Two to play in the MDV Cup. They replaced the team that wasn't able to play, and so they were a team that we were not sure how they were going to stack up against this level of competition. They were baptized by fire, and they held up. They held up to the eye test. So 3-1 loss is, in my eyes, that's a win as far as their direction. And then in the Morton Cup, I'm going to choose Chevrolet. It was a 5-1 victory against Blazers. Blazers is a team that we are familiar with. We know they haven't had tremendous success in VSSL or UPSL, but those are two strong leagues. They play against some really good competition. So we know it's not a team where, it's some guys that, just play soccer every once in a while and maybe only had 10 guys. This is a club that is well organized. Andrew Janis does a good job of making sure there's regular practices. Everyone's going to show up for the games. A team that beat them 5-1, that stands out to me. So we'll watch out for Chevrolet throughout this tournament.
Yeah, they had a great season in the Maryland Majors. I should mention they should have won, but they ended up losing in their division, so they didn't get to play the finals against Baltimore City. But they're a good team, man. They're a good team. Definitely one to watch out for in the Morton Cup.
Well,
Yeah, but Blazers probably had to make like a 1.5 hour drive, or maybe even 2 hours. So is that really fair, Noah, that Chevrolet won against a team that had to travel for 2 hours?
I
let
mean,
me just say, I made that drive from Virginia twice, and I'll be making it it is not 2 hours. That is that is at most a 58-minute drive on a Sunday morning. I mean, I don't know where guys are coming from. Maybe they're coming from further than Arlington, but yeah, I mean, I don't think that's gonna. I'm not gonna blame it on the drive.
Okay.
hey, look, it's good to have both sides of the coins, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, yeah. So Noah goes for Chevrolet and I go for Etihad. What about you, actually, Gio?
Oh man, that's tough, man. For Morton's Cup, there's so many teams, right? Like there's teams that we don't really typically get to see because like there's street footies coming from the Maryland League, so I've never really got to see them perform or see how they play. So
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what their I mean, obviously they post their roster. Some of the names are familiar, but I've never seen the whole team, so it's really hard to say. But I'm gonna go based off of what we talked about in the game. I kind of got to watch a little bit of, which was Slancha versus Baltimore City, and I think I'm going to go Slancha because they impressed me. They impressed me with the performance because that was such a tight game.
It was, yeah.
And to play it that full 90 minutes or 90-plus minutes and at that level and still squeak out the score, like that's impressive no matter how you're doing it. I saw, like, how we talked about how we're surprised about Los Toros versus Team Oranje. I think Team Oranje lost a lot of their gas in the second half, right?
They did, yeah. It was
To see team play a competitive match for the full length, it's always impressive to me. So I think I'm gonna stick with them.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about. We're just going to move into the weekend coming. I know we were going to talk about the biggest surprise, but we've kind of mentioned what surprises we've seen and we've had. Unless one of you had like a dire surprise you want to mention, aside from Alfred not being impressed. I think we can move into the week coming because there's quite a few games we were going to talk about. We're going to run through all of the games for the MDV Cup, and then we'll do like the top matches for the Morton Cup. And then we'll pick a match of the week from either or, and for personally, right? So let's start with the MDV Cup. The first match of the weekend, I should say, is going to be Christos versus Das Beer Hall. Let's start with you, Alfred. Who's winning, and tell me why.
Yeah, so I don't know if Bullies were too good or maybe Christos is not at the sort of level I think it were. So I'm going to make this a very tight score, and I'm going to say 2-1 Christos. And it's because Das Beer Hall are good. I think Christos are just going to edge it out because of experience at the end of the day. So Christos for me for that.
You can never go wrong picking Christos, honestly.
Yeah.
I guess it's such a safe bet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we did bets, like that would be a safe bet all the time.
Yeah, it would.
I'm gonna have to take Christos. I mean, I want to see the storybook, but I've seen this book and I know how it ends. Christos, but I do think it's gonna be a tight scoreline. Daspierhal has so much experience, and they not only have experience, but they have experience with this Christos side. There's a lot of friends across the different rosters, so I think they're gonna pack it in. I think they're gonna try to find Brad McKim on the break, and I think that they're going to. I think it's going to be a 2-0 scoreline. Christos will be victorious, though, in the end.
I will say, if these two teams, if we were to talk about teams that would go out together, this is probably a team that would go out together. These two, at least.
Yeah.
Duke.
And obviously, if you do want to catch this game, it's at 11 o'clock on Sunday, January the 12th, and it's going to be at Cedar Park Lane, field number 5, if you want to catch it. Also, the other game that's going to be at Cedar Park Lane, field number 5 is going to be
Park. Make sure you go to Howard County, not Harford County. I heard a couple people did that.
No.
Cedar Lane Park. Yeah, not because of us, because one team put the graphic, but they didn't put where the Cedar Lane Park. There's one up in Harford County. So if you're listening to us, consider yourself warned. It is the one in Howard County. I think you said it a few times, Howard County, but yeah, not Harford County. Cedar Lane Park.
No, that might be a 2-hour drive.
That's a reason. That's a reason for excuse. If you send your team the Howard.
Okay.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Howard County. All right, this is all Howard County for the first 4 games we're going to talk about. So Bowleys versus, I just lost track of my thought. Yeah, Bowleys versus Team United. This is going to be, we kind of talked about this matchup, right? Where we saw Team United be more impressive than we thought about, and then Bowleys also, they both lost, but they were both very impressive. So this is going to be a really good matchup, and it's also survival on the line, right?
Yeah.
Whoever wins in this team's like, you have a chance to move forward, but both of those teams could be knocked out. Let's start with you, Noah. What are we thinking?
And this is tough because it's 2 teams that I was actually impressed with in a loss. I am going to take Bowleys just because I think that they really have the momentum. 3-1 against Christos was an impressive scoreline. Team United, you know what? I just remembered something. I can pick a tie.
That's what I was going to do. You're going to take it from me now.
Man, I'm going to take a 1-1 draw. I've been acting like these are knockout matches. No, I'm taking a 1-1 draw. I think this is a really good matchup. This is one that's worth watching. Unfortunately, this is not one of the ones that we are streaming, or at least I don't believe we are. There's still time for teams to contact us, but yeah, if you're available this Sunday, I would definitely recommend get some money's worth, because you could watch basically 4 matches. 4 matches in the same venue. Just look up the field, look down the field. They're side by side. Yeah, if you're a fan and you're, not cold averse, come on out, and it's going to be some really exciting action.
Yeah, definitely. Alfred, I'm guessing you're going to go with a tie then.
A tie, but 2-2. But yeah, I'm definitely going with a tie. I think it's going to be so close. I think it's going to be a tie game. 2-2. That's my prediction.
Now, let's say in your perfect world they go 2-2 or just 0-0 like Noah saying, or I don't know if you put a score line to it, but I know he went tie. But they go tie 1-1, right?
Yeah.
Now, whoever plays Das Bierhall would be the team moving forward. They would have to obviously beat Das Bierhall in order to move forward. So essentially what you guys just did was knock both of these teams out.
I mean, it's not impossible though, is it?
It's not, but it's a tough hill, right? Like, if these two teams split points or they draw, they have to, no matter what, they have to go for the win against Das Bierhall.
Yeah.
Things to think about. All right. Yeah, that's cool. Let's move on to Rastosi versus Steel Pulse, which this is a contender for a match of the week, but I'm not going to put those labels on it yet. Let's talk about it. Alfred, who are you going with? Are you doing a tie?
No, I'm going for Rastosi, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it seems like Steel Pulse are still having the problems of turning out with maybe a limited amount of players and stuff. So and Rastosi much more organized side. I'm gonna say a 3-2 win for Rastosi.
Noah, are you going to agree, or are you taking the side that Steel Pulse is going to totally approach us differently, like you said earlier?
This is a tough one. I mean, everything in me wants to be contrarian to what Alfred's saying and just pick something different. But I think that I was impressed with what I saw from Rastosi. I am going to take I'm going to take Rastosi 2-1. I really liked Bryson Baker and his leadership in this Rastosi side. I really liked, a few of the players. Nate Jones did a great job in goal. So, yeah, I'm going to have to take Rastosi.
Steel Pulse, if you're listening, this is a clip you could use.
It's the wake-up time. I mean, we know.
I guess, yeah, it is.
If Steel Pulse, are back at their ceiling, the Steel Pulse of old that we know what they're capable of, especially come Cup season, then, it should be Steel Pulse. Even though Rastosi are a top-class team, I think narrowly it should be. But right now, I'm not sold on, the form of Steel Pulse and Rastosi. They're very much in form.
Yeah.
I just realized, I agree with you, Noah, and I just realized, in agreeing with you, I realized I haven't been picking my winners.
Well,
I don't know if I'm trying to, scapegoat this so that I don't have to look... So next week I don't have to look back at this, but let me pick my winners really quickly for the matches we talked about. I'm gonna do obviously Christo, safe bet.
Yeah,
that's a safe bet always. I'm actually gonna pick Bowleys because I'm impressed with what this team is doing, what they're building, and everything all around. And then I'm gonna piggyback off of you guys and pick Rastosi. I think Steel Pulse is a different Steel Pulse than I've seen in the past, and maybe the competition has caught up to them, and I think this is going to be one of those matchups that they're going to lose, and it might wake them up and be like, hey, we need to return back to the way we were, and I'm hoping this is it.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the last matchup in Maryland, which is going to be Patuxent versus Baltimore Kickers. Let's start with you. Who did I go first with last time? Let's go with Alfred.
I think it was Alfred.
He was starting me, so Noah can start you.
Yeah, this is actually, I'll say, I don't think either of these teams is going to make it out of the group, unfortunately, but I do think this is a level match. I think this is actually going to be a really close one, but I'm going to have to choose the Kickers. I think the Kickers, they have a longevity of players playing together. I think right now Patuxent is building their squad. They're kind of in a transition period, and I think that's going to hurt them, but I think it's going to be a one-goal game, Baltimore Kickers.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go for a win as well for Baltimore Kickers. I mean, they lost 3-0 against Steel Pulse. But when you play Steel Pulse, you can concede one until the 89th minute and then concede 2 goals in rapid succession. So they might have been impressive and they still lost. So I think they're ready. I think I'm going to go for 3-0 actually against Patuxent. A 3-0 win for Baltimore Kickers.
I think I'm going to pick Baltimore Kickers as well. I really like Baltimore Kickers. I like their history, I like their organization. I like what they did against Steel Pulse. Obviously, some of those goals were mistakes, whether they were started in the back or started in the midfield. Steel Pulse has the talent to put those away. I don't know if Patuxent has the same. I feel like they have a luxury to be able to still be figuring things out, and they are figuring things out. Obviously, we said they're on the up, and this is a good opportunity to prove that. So I'm going to pick Baltimore Kickers. Having said that, we have now made Rastosi win the group because they're beating Steel Pulse. I don't see anyone else knocking points from Rastosi. And then on top of that, we are putting Steel Pulse and Baltimore Kickers at a tie for that second place matchup, or that second place out of the group stages. That's interesting to think about that. Steel Pulse and Baltimore Kickers, who started this group stage, will be the ones fighting for the last matchup. Very interesting to think about.
Gio, I want to say that Patuxent fans, if they're watching, they're going to be so disappointed with you because you had them beating Rastosi, but you don't have them beating Baltimore Kickers.
Well, so here's it. In my defense, I was thinking in my defense, I didn't know what roster they were going to come down with, right? If they were coming down with either their USL or MPSL or even their Eastern Soccer Premier League roster, I think we would see, our Eastern Premier Soccer League, we would see a different Patuxent. I do recognize some of those names, but the roster is different, right? So if they do want to win, it might be an opportunity to bring some of those players.
Okay.
And then we will see a different Patuxent. Obviously, Patuxent is going through some changes, like Noah said, though. And also, that's a lot of leagues they play in, so it could be wear and tear, too.
I think that they're the NPSL, though. I do think it is just EPSL and USL, too. Yeah.
Fair enough. I know they were in all the leagues at a certain point.
Wow.
Because they were really trying to, build let's call it a pipeline. It wasn't really a pipeline, but they were just trying to build the organization. Because I mean, they even have a youth academy, so it's a big organization out there, and we'll see what roster they're gonna look where they have opportunity. Well, I don't know. Can they change their roster? I don't think they can. I think that window's closed, right?
So they can add players, but there's a 30-player limit, and you can't remove them. So there's limitations to how many.
Yeah, so that's why, Alfred. But I appreciate the call out.
But I want them to win, just to
prove us wrong.
Now I want them to win. Actually,
you can't backtrack now, man.
No, I'm still going with the Baltimore Kickers, but some part of me will still want them to win. So they say, "Oh, Gio, you left us, and now look at us, we're succeeding."
You know what? That would be I would be so happy for them if that happens. Honestly, we always love a good redemption story here. So hey,
if they win and Rastosi wins, then it creates a situation where Steel Pulse has to be spot on for the final game, and maybe Patuxent might feel inclined to bring up their their special players for that match. But that's true. From a neutral point of view, that would be ideal for us.
That'd be so much fun to talk about
and
watch. All right, let's move over to. We're gonna leave Maryland and we're gonna go to the Virginia games, which I think they're gonna be both in Thomas Jefferson High School, Ken Lawrence Park, and Langley High School. So we'll start with Thomas Jefferson High School with North Star versus Yings United at 5 p.m.
Alfred,
Go ahead.
Oh, I think this has to be the easiest prediction. Really, I think I'm gonna go for Yings United because stuff.
This is why I wanted you to go first.
I think this has to be the easiest. I think Yings United, there's so much superiority between the two. Yings United are just so superior, and I think they're going to run away with it. I'm actually going to say 5-2.
Oof.
I want to say 5-3, but 5-3 it seems a little bit close. So I'm going to say 5 as a scoreline. But it has to be the easiest prediction.
He wanted to say 3-1 because of one player only.
Yeah. But
Noah, go take it away.
Yeah, I just want to point out how funny it is that Alfred made a special moment to call out Coach Daniel and how great of a job he's been doing with North Stars Berryville. Last season, it was a heartwarming moment, and now this week, absolutely dogging North Stars in the predictions. That's
because I know
thing I've ever seen. Give absolute also just brutal honesty with it.
Yeah, because I know he has a lot of good intentions. I know he has it. It's just it always feels every season always feels like North Stars aren't ready yet. That's how it just always feels. This is a new season, so we might see different things. But even with that, Yings United have so much quality, though. They just have so much quality. And with North Stars, you never know as well which players are going to turn up. I know we can say the same thing for Yings United, but for North Stars, there's like such a huge gap between the players, between some players in the team. So, yeah, I'm going to say this has to be the easiest prediction. I think Yings United, I'm going to go for Yings.
Yeah, for me, Yings United 3-0. On to the next one. I think that's a pretty simple story.
Yeah, Yings United. Yeah, there's nothing negative said there. For me, Yings United is like almost a Christos of the APL league. So I remember at one time, Yings United and Christos used to go back and forth on the games. Obviously, Yings United isn't there where they once were, but they're still a very good team. So, Yings United. All right, so we're going to go to Kane Lawrence Park, and that's going to – oh, no, we're still going to stay at Thomas Jefferson High School at 7 p.m., and it's going to be Los Toros versus Alexandria United. Noah, let's start with you.
Man, I have to go first.
Yes.
I mean, it's tough to pick against Los Toros. I guess I'll go 2-0 Los Toros. I mean, I think
Alfred can't even take that serious. He can't even take that serious.
This is Alfred. I mean, it's are right now the benchmark for
they are, yeah.
And so it's tough to pick against them. But I'm only going to give them 2 goals. That's my prediction.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Alfred, can we have a real prediction?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Just like
For me, I just can't get over what I saw in the VSSL semi-final. So, how serious are Alexandria United taking this particular competition? Very seriously, I hope. And I'm gonna predict that I'm gonna assume that they're bringing their best players. And if they're bringing their best players, I'm gonna go actually for a tie on this one, 3-3.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
If they are I'm gonna assume that they're bringing their full squad, and I'm gonna say 3-3 because if they don't, yeah, Los Toros will run away with it. But if they really bring their squad that we saw mid VSSL, when the VSSL league was during its mid period, yeah, it's gonna be a draw. It's gonna be a tie game.
Yeah, I would think this would be a high scoring game. I
Yeah.
can't picture a Los Toros game being less than 3. Whether
Yeah.
they get scored on a
When
lot
they
or not,
scored,
I think the prediction has to be a high scoring. So with that being said, this is tough. Like I wanted to backtrack, and then now I'm full in. I'm just gonna pick Los Toros a 4-2 win. All right, let's go to now. We're gonna move to Ken Lawrence Park, and then we're gonna go to Team Oranje versus World Class Premier. This is gonna be the first game for World Class Premier because of the game that was postponed. Second game for Team Oranje. Maybe there's a difference. Maybe there's not. It doesn't make a difference. But let's start with you, Alfred.
Yeah, what I saw yesterday really wasn't inspiring, if I'm being honest. I'm going to go for World Class Premier by winning by 4-1 against Oranje.
Just turned his back on the Oranje like that.
Yeah,
just like
I
that.
have to, because they don't have the depth on the bench.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
when they don't have the depth and it's too cold, and World Class Premier have a lot of players that turn up. So I'm going to predict a big win for them.
I mean, they did run out of steam against Los Toros, so
They did.
I mean,
They did. Second half, you had to watch that game. It was no momentum whatsoever.
it was slow. It was a tough watch for them. And Los
definitely
Toros was
was.
on full drive.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Noah. I know you are eager to let us know your prediction.
Absolutely. I'm actually going to stick with Oranje for this one. I think they're going to bounce back strong. Their back's against the wall. You know, without a result, they're out of the tournament. And so I think that we're going to see a really strong match from Daniel Ankara for World Class Premier, but I think it's going to be just not quite enough. I think we're going to see a return of the Oranje goalkeeper and some of their players that they were missing. So 2-1 for Oranje.
Yeah, and World Class Premier could be trying new things, right? Because, I mean, they have a game in hand because one of the matches was postponed, so they could be trying to figure things out before they take it serious in their second match of the tournament. All right, and then our final game, which is going to be at Langley High School at 7 p.m., is going to be Asperian versus Aegean Hawks. Noah, do you want to start on this one?
Sure. I don't know a whole lot about Asperian. They had a solid season in the American Premier League, and I know they're a team that seems to be gaining steam, getting traction. I know a couple of players, Max Hernandez, Jason Ferrofino, who are both great players, but it's tough to pick against the Hawks. The Aegean Hawks, that's a storied organization that with national titles under their belt, you know, going back. So I'm going to take Aegean Hawks by a score of 2-0.
What about you, Alfred?
3-1 Aegean Hawks. I've seen Asperian play. They were very dominant, actually, against the Estudiantes, but I don't think they have the power enough to sort of beat Aegean Hawks. So, yeah, Aegean Hawks for me.
Yeah, I think Aegean Hawks is another one of those, like, crystal-like bets where you can always have a safe bet. And I realized I fully bypassed Team Oranje and World Class Premier, so I'm going to pick World Class Premier and Aegean Hawks to round out my picks for the week. All right, we're not going to go through all the Morton Cup games. We'll mention the games that are coming, but I do want to ask you all to pick a game, a top match for you for the Morton Cup. So let me run through them real quick.
Okay.
The first 4 games at 11 o'clock are going to be Banfield versus Lion FC, Silver Springs United versus Blessed, Street Footy versus Solange Athletics, and then we have Chevrolet versus Moco. Those are all the games that are happening at 11 in the morning. Then you have Etihad versus Daywalkers, DMV Stars versus AC Highlanders, and then you have Starliners versus Baltimore City, and the last match is going to be Blazers versus ACFC, and those are going to happen at 1 p.m. Of all those matches, which one is the top match for you to watch? Let's start with Alfred, because he looks ready. He looks like he's...
No, I'm actually trying to look at the score line from the last game to see
we'll
which
give you
one.
time.
Yes,
we'll give you time. We'll give you time. Let's start with Noah.
Okay. Again, I want to cheat. I want to pick two. I'm going to go Starliners and Baltimore City FC. That's two champions. Starliners, I misspoke. Starliners were not the champions of the WPL, but they were runners-up. So,
Okay.
they have that in there under their belts. I think that's going to be one of the matches to watch. The other match that I wanted to pick is Blazers FC and Arundel County FC. I think Blazers, they're a team that does have potential. I want to pick in their favor, but I need to see something more, and I think they're going to get that test in Arundel County FC.
All right, Alfred, we good?
Now I'm actually looking for the. Is there any chance you could run down the fixtures just like for 10
Sure.
seconds? Yeah, thank you.
Sure. So the 11 o'clock games are going to be Banfield versus Lions, Silver Springs versus Blessed, Street Footy versus Solange, and Cheverly versus Moco. The 1 o'clock games are going to be Etihad versus Daywalkers, DMV Stars versus A3, Highlanders, Starliners versus Baltimore City, and then Blazers versus Anne Arundel County.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say DMV Stars versus A3 Highlanders. I think that's gonna be a tight game. DMV Stars are a high scoring side. A3 Highlanders, they are a side that didn't get to play, so there's sort of like an eagerness waiting for them. They have that eagerness to sort of get going. I think the match between Silver Spring and Blessed FC is also going to be a good match. So those are like my two. Since Noah chose two, I'm going to choose two as well.
Now you're telling me I got to choose two.
Yeah, choose. Yeah. Let's see.
I'm actually that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna pick Street Footy versus Solange because once I've been sitting here talking about how great they performed against Baltimore City, and Street Footy is such an unknown for me. I haven't gotten a chance to watch any of their games, and they just announced some players today.
Yeah, okay.
Today and over the weekend. So I'm gonna be looking forward to that game, and then the other one is going to be Etihad versus Daywalkers, and only because I want to see if Etihad keeps that performance going.
Okay, yeah.
And since I couldn't pick Baltimore City.
You could. Okay.
All right, let's wrap up today with picking we've run down the games, we've picked our winners, but still those winners aren't decided. We're still going to watch the games because they're going to be entertaining. Anything could happen. For that reason, if you were to tell a fan of the DMV soccer or any fan a game they must watch this week, what would you pick? Let's start with Noah.
Simple. Steel Pulse, Restosi FC. That's must-watch TV. It's live on the channel. You don't even have to leave your living room. You don't have to leave your bed. Just put it on your phone, put it on your laptop, and you can spend the morning with yours truly. That is a match that is going to have players of the highest caliber. Yeah, that's an easy pick.
How about you, Alfred?
Yeah, same for me as well. So much quality, and it's when you watch like teams perhaps with lesser qualities. Then you watch teams like Restosi and Steel Pulse play. It's almost like such a blessing because the way the run of play goes, it's so unique. So yeah, that has to be the match of the week. That has to be unmissable for any fan that's really in love with DMV footy.
So I'm gonna agree, but I'm gonna pick another one because
Okay.
I feel like I should, but I'm gonna agree because this is must-watch TV. It's gonna be here on the channel. You don't need to go anywhere. Watch this game. But if you have time to watch a game live, this is live, like in person, and you're eager to go out, I would say Christos versus Das Bierhall. Because that matchup, we know Christos is a good team, but this is a do-or-die moment for Das Bierhall. So I'm thinking they're going to go all out and try to get this 3 points against Christos. Well, actually, it's not a do or die because they won against Team United, but it's an important game nonetheless for them because it takes the pressure off the next game that they're going to have. It will be a do or die for either Team United or Bally's, right? Because they're going to be playing Bally's Athletics after Bally's plays Team United. So that's what I'm gonna pick. But first choice is Restosi versus Steel Pulse.
Yeah,
that's where I'm going with.
For me, I think Bodley's Athletic versus Team United. Yeah, that's a very close second for me.
That's my honorable mention.
Definitely. That's gonna be
an eye peeked on that one behind me as I'm broadcasting the other one. That's a really good match to watch.
Noah, can you tell the fans that are watching what games will be streamed here?
Yeah, so as of now, we just have two on the channel. It's going to be Steel Pulse versus Rastosi. That's going to be your 11 a.m. match. And then at 7 p.m. is Alexandria United against against Los Toros. So those are the two matches. However, to let you know a little secret, it's only Monday for those watching it on Saturday, and there is still time. There are sometimes teams that do contact us later in the week, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if there's anyone else. But as of now, just two matches. So yeah, even more reason to watch that Rastosi versus Steel Pulse match. There's only so many matches to watch, so yeah.
Yeah, and if you are a team watching us, you should have hit us up. We'd have been there. Should have hit us up.
Definitely.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. If you're subscribed, we thank you. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, engage, because we love the engagement. And also, because we're trying to grow, make sure you share this. Share the channel, share the podcast. The channel is DMV Sports Media. The podcast is 410. So share us. We're also on social media. Follow us, give us a like, and we appreciate you. Gentlemen, thank you for this evening. This was a pleasure as always. You have a good one, and as well as the fans listening.
Thank you.